First, I want to say congratulations, Professor, for your ingenious work.
谢谢。
So if you don't mind, we'd like to go back to the big moment when you received a call. What were you doing? What was the feeling at the moment?
You know, it was one of the most beautiful moments in my life so far. So I was sitting in a restaurant in Amsterdam. We were about to order the breakfast. And then all of a sudden, my cell phone starts ringing. And, you know, in the back of my head, I know today the announcement will be made, but I swear I had absolutely no idea whatsoever that I would be given the Nobel Prize on that day. But I take out the phone of my pocket and it says on the phone, on the display, it says Sweden. And then my wife sees it and sees it. She says, "That's the call," but as a joke. I go outside of the restaurant and pick up the call. And indeed, it was the call from the Swedish Academy. And I was just, I don't know, overwhelmed in that moment. It was very, very exciting, I can assure you. You know, after the Nobel Foundation, they spoke to me and then we hung up. A few minutes later, they call again. And then he says, "This is Goran Hansson from the Nobel Committee. Do you happen to have David MacMillan's phone number?" I gave it to him. And then in the next minute, I write a text to Dave MacMillan. "Dave, wake up." And Dave calls me and says, "Sorry, Ben, I'm sure this is just a prank. My students make fun of me. They make all these jokes and they just fooled you." Then he wrote, "Ben, I bet $1,000 it's a joke and we don't get the numbers." I said, "Okay, I'm in. I want, you know, I bet with you." And then I call the Swedish, the Nobel Committee once again and tell them, "Now you can reach him." And they called him, and then a minute later he says, "No more sleep tonight." So he believed it, you know.
So you know Professor David like really well. You guys are friends, worked together before?
Together since many years, and actually already in late '99 we met. So it's already 22 years ago. Yeah, and we had, you know, we were also competitors at time, but it was always, I mean, I can say this from my side, and I assume it's also from his side. It was always based on, you know, respect and, you know, admiration, you know, for each other's creativity.
Both of your work are about a symmetric organocatalysis. Could you help and explain your work in plain words to help us get a better understanding about your work?
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's really important to know, if you're not a chemist, how important catalysis is to our life on this planet. When in reality, chemists make antibiotics, chemists make antivirals, chemists make also beautiful scents that we all love, like perfume, right? And nice materials that can be used in surgeries, like to replace a knee, you know? All these things are made by chemists with chemical catalysis.
We have noticed that many awards in chemistry before they were awarded to scientists in biochemistry, in molecular biology, physical chemistry. Some researchers, they are not simply chemists. What's your comment on this?
Yeah, I've heard about this debate. I have less of a problem with giving the chemistry prize to molecular biologists or physicists, because after all, you know, they say, and I think it's true, chemistry is sort of the central science. Having said this, I'm also happy that we get a Nobel Prize for what you said kind of is pure chemistry, even though it's a very bio-inspired chemistry, right? I think in the global community, people are not so appreciative of the beauty and of the great contributions by chemistry to our life on Earth, to our health, to our longevity. You know, all this, people are not so aware. They associate chemistry with plastic waste in the ocean, right? And other, you know, pollution and environmental problems. In this field of catalysis, it's also a great science, right? It's, as I like to say, it's as close to magic as chemists can be. Because the beauty of a catalyst is you add one molecule of the catalyst and it creates millions and billions and trillions of other molecules. Right? It's like this unbelievable replication effect. That's the amazing thing about catalysis. And when I started 20 years ago, there were two accepted types of catalysts, those that were based on metals and those that were based on biology. And Professor MacMillan and I we were of course not alone. We discovered that also organic molecules can be catalysts, small organic molecules. And the beauty of them is they can be used to make pharmaceuticals. And many several processes are now actually operating using these types of catalysts.
Okay, and how does asymmetric organocatalysis apply to our daily life? You know, we could talk this topic closer to our people's life. What's the great importance of this, of your work?
I think one thing I like to mention in this context is antivirals, right? The virus, we have a big problem, the big pandemics right now. But there are different types how you can treat a virus. You can use a vaccine, and that's the solution for the current pandemic. But there are other viruses that you cannot vaccinate against. For example, HIV. It's under control because of small molecule pharmaceuticals that people can take to live a normal life. And one of those pharmaceuticals is made using organocatalysis.
Okay, and I want to ask, how long have you been studying in this field? What inspired you to choose chemistry as your career?
Yeah, when I was 11 years old, I thought that chemists know everything about the universe and matter and human beings because everything is made out of molecules. So that logic was correct, right? But the real answers that I was looking for, it was more like a philosophical question, like a childish philosophical question. What is the world made out, right? What is the nature of reality in a way? Then I realized, okay, chemist doesn't give me the answer to all these big questions that I had, but it was also a great fun. And I fell in love with chemistry, and that's still happening right now. So very, very happy to have chosen this path. And I can really recommend it to everyone who is young and considering it. You know, if you have a passion for it, it's definitely rewarding.
And have you ever thought one day maybe winning a Nobel Prize all the way?
No, this is the other thing I can recommend is don't plan on winning the Nobel Prize when you go into science. That's something you cannot plan. You know, what you can plan for is to have a joyful life by picking the topic that you really are passionate about, that you do with enthusiasm. That's the key to a happy life, in my opinion, to just do what you love to do.
We are aware that you were born to a family of scientists and artists. I learned that your great-great-grandfather was a chemist, Jacob Warhart, and your aunt, yes, that's it. Yes, and your aunt is the 1995 Nobel Prize winner in medicine, I think. So what influence does your family have on you?
Yeah, I think the biggest influence is sort of a free spirit. In my family, they always encouraged us to think big and to imagine yourself to be able to do anything. But it was not with pressure. It was just the freedom and confidence that I could be doing something great. I think that's also important. It's also important to work hard and to train well. Like that's what I admire about the Chinese, and to do this full of passion, you know, to work hard and play the piano like Liang Liang, one of my favorite pianists, right? It's this, you know, it's a combination of both, right? You need the hard work aspect, but you also need to have even the imagination that you can accomplish something great.
Now, as a Nobel Prize winner, what's the advice and suggestions you want to give to the researchers in this field of chemistry?
I think I will have to repeat myself. What you said is sort of true. Hard work, dedication, and luck, this is all very important. But already when it comes to hard work, I sometimes have arguments about it. Like, what do you mean by hard work? Because I feel like my life is not consistent of hard work. For me, it's like pleasure and fun, right? Because what I do, I love to do. And when you are enthusiastic about what you do, of course, it doesn't feel like hard work. Of course, be prepared for failures and be prepared for long hours in the lab. And you know, you also need certainly luck. I know it's much easier said than done. And of course, life is not always full of joy and fun, but it's good to follow your enthusiasm. That's my suggestion for the next generation, for everybody.
Okay, so if it does not violate your privacy, may I ask, do you come up with ideas about how to spend money?
The good thing is we're building a house right now, and that will help me in finishing it. It's not yet completely done, and that will help me certainly.
知道视频，有趣有料的新闻短视频。